Hello everyone. So today's video, I am going to teach you how to make the legacy square for our legacy blankets. A legacy square is essentially a granny square, but we call them legacy squares because they fit into our legacy blanket. So we're going to start today, and I'm going to show you how to make a square for our blankets, and we're going to need a size 4 weight, medium weight yarn. Today I'm going to be using this Caron Simply Soft yarn. It was donated to us by Yarnspirations to make blankets, and I'm going to be using the soft pink color. And then you're also going to need a crochet hook. Now, the yarn, on the back of the yarn on the label, it'll tell you what size hook you need to use. I have a tendency to crochet very tight stitches, and so today I'm going to be working with a J hook. You may need to, I think Caron Simply Soft asks for either an H or an I. I use a hook size a little bit bigger just because I know the tension on my stitches. And then you're also going to need a pair of scissors, and you're going to need a tapestry needle to weave in your ends at the end of the square. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how to make a legacy square today. So here we go. So to start with your square, you'll notice I have a ton of yarn here. I've pulled out some yarn already from the middle of the this roll of yarn that I have. So you'll see where I'm pulling yarn from the middle of mine. A lot of times when you buy a roll of yarn, you can either pull it from the middle or from the outside, or you can pull it from the middle. And I always pull mine from the middle because it tends to pull a lot easier, especially when you're trying to work with, like, you want to consistently have it pull when you're crocheting. You don't want to have to worry about tangling the yarn. So that is where I'm going to be pulling from today, and I've already kind of pulled quite a bit of it from the center so that I can start off the square. So in order to start a square, you are going to make a slip knot, and a slip knot essentially is you will take and you will make a loop with your yarn, right? See there, like that. And then you'll put a portion of the yarn through the loop and you pull. So if you're pulling like this, you'll see where it joins, it makes a loop. And in order to start, you're going to take your crochet hook and you're going to put it in the loop, and you're going to pull on the yarn that's coming from the roll of, from your yarn roll. So you pull on this and it'll get tighter onto your hook. And that is how you start with your, you'll see that's how you'll start with your yarn. Okay, so in order to start our square, we are going to chain 5. Now, here's what I want to say before we get started. There are a ton of videos on YouTube on how to make a crochet granny square. I highly suggest that you take a few minutes and Google or search for granny square, crochet granny square on YouTube, and look at different videos on how different people make the square. I know when I'm trying to learn something new, especially for those of you who are new to crochet, a lot of people crochet differently. And so you may watch this video a few times and there may be a few things that just don't seem right to you, or you kind of just can't grab. Watch other videos. Some people explain it differently. Some people hold their hook differently. Some people wrap their yarn differently. It just all depends on the person that's crocheting. So I just suggest, and it's what I do, is to go to YouTube and just type in crochet granny square and watch a few videos. If you are using this video as a video that you learn from, I suggest watching it fully through one time, and then go back, rewind, fast forward, use this tool to guide you. It may take you a little while. You might have to start a square and rip it out a few times, and that is completely normal. Do not think that you are not going to get this if you don't get it on the first few tries. Just keep trying it. That's what the videos are great for. You can rewind, fast forward, and play over and over again if you need to. So that's just a little tip that I am very much a advocate for watching multiple people's videos to see different ways that each of them are making their squares and different techniques you can pull from. So, all right, so I'm going to show you how to start with my granny square. I always start by a chain 5. Now, when you chain 5, you're going to pull the loop through your hook and chain 1, just like this. You're going to wrap your yarn over and pull through, and that's a 2. And then you're going to wrap your yarn over and you'll pull 3, wrap your yarn over and pull 4, and wrap your yarn over again and pull through 5. And so now you have 5 chains, right? I pulled my hook out of my... So I'm going to put it back through. Now, in order to make this circle for the middle of our granny square or our legacy square, you're going to take your hook, the end of your hook, and you're going to insert it into this first loop where we first started. Right here, you're just going to go into the loop and pull it in there like this. And so you'll notice that you've essentially got this piece right here on your, that's making a circle. You can see where it's making a circle. So in order to close this, to make your inner circle, you're going to yarn over your hook like we did. Now you've got it like this. Yarn over your hook like we did for the other ones, and you're going to pull through both of those. Oops, I'm like twisting mine all over the place. Let me start here. So you're going to pull through both of those loops. You're going to pull through the first loop. Oop, let's get that out of the way. Pull through that first loop, and then you're going to pull through this second one. Okay, well, clearly I am not. There we go. So you pull through second one. So we've made a loop, which is going to be our start for our granny square. Do you see that loop that you've made there? That's going to be where you're going to insert your stitches for your first. See where my finger's going through that loop? That's where we're going to insert our stitches to start our square. So in order to start for your first round of your granny square, you are going to chain 3. So you're going to 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to make 2 double crochets. So double crochet is yarn over your hook, go into that middle circle, pull up a loop. So you've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and that's your first granny square. So now you have 2, that chain 3 starts as your first stitch that you've made, and now you've got another one here, which is your second double crochet. So then you're going to do another double crochet, you're going to yarn over, you're going to go into that circle in the middle, and you're going to pull up a loop like this. You're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through 2, and then you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through 2 more. So now, if you look at it, let's look at it. If you look at this where we are now, we have 1, this is our chain 3, which is our first, it counts as a double crochet. Then we've got this second double crochet right here and this third one here. This is considered your first cluster. So we're going to be making, for each round of our granny square, we're going to be making 4 clusters, which are going to be all 4 sides of the square. And then in the middle of each, or on the corners of each, you're going to have a chain 2, which is going to actually form the corner. So let's do that now. So we're going to first form our first corner, which is going to be yarn over and pull through to chain 1, and yarn over and pull through to chain 2. And this is going to essentially be our first corner. So we're going to start our next cluster. So I like to just move this piece that was the beginning, just kind of move it out of the way, get it out of your way, and we'll deal with that afterwards. We'll weave that in later. But you're going to now make your next side of your square. So we're going to do 3 more double crochets, just like we did the other one. So we're going to yarn over, go through the loop, and pull up a loop. That's 3, or yarn over and go through the middle, and that pulls up 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2 more. That's 1 double crochet. So you're going to do 2 more of those. So yarn over, go into the middle and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And we're going to do that one more time. So we're going to do yarn over, go into the middle and pull up a loop, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2 more. So now we have made another side of our square. So we're going to do chain 2, 1, 2 to form our next corner, and we're going to do 3 more double crochets. So you're yarning over, you're pulling up a loop to have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and make 2 more double crochets, just like the ones that we've been making, to form our next cluster. Okay, there we go. So we'll have another cluster. So now we have 3 sides. So we're going to do a chain 1 and chain 2 for our next corner, and we're going to do 3 more double crochets. So we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop with 3 on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Our next one is going to be yarn over, go into the middle and pull up a loop. You've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do that one more time, right? Pull through 2 and yarn over, pull through 2. And for our last corner, we're going to chain 2 like we've done on the last ones. And in order to close up this square, the middle of this first round of our square that we've made, you're going to take your hook and you're going to go into, you'll notice here, this right here is the chain 3. This right here, that's our chain 3 that we did from the beginning. So you're going to take your needle, the top of your needle, and you're going to go into the top of that loop, just like this, and you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull it through. So now you have 2 loops on your hook, and you're going to pull through the next one, and that is called a slip stitch. So you'll see now where you have a full square that you've made for the middle of your square. So see how this, right here, you've got, this is a corner, this is a corner, and this is a corner. So you've made your first square, the middle of your legacy square or your granny square. And so we're going to keep going on to our second round. In order to start the second round, we're going to do just what you did from the very beginning, and we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That's going to be your first double crochet. And at this point, I like to flip my yarn work over, and I'm going to work basically the opposite way, but it's going to essentially be the same. You're going to be going in the same direction each time, but you're going to be flipping your work each time, and I'll tell you why. At the end of it, both sides of your square are going to look the same. If you worked on only one side, you would notice that one side looked a little bit different than the other, but if you continue to flip your work after each row, it'll look the same on both sides, and so that's what we're wanting to do. And so let's go ahead and work our first cluster. So when we do our clusters going forward, we're going to be working into these spaces that we've created. You'll notice the spaces on the 4 corners. So this one we're going to do a double crochet into the space we created right here in our corner. So we're going to yarn over, and we're going to go into our corner space, and we're going to pull up a loop, just like we've been doing for our double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And then you're going to do that one more time. Yarn over, go into your space and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you've got one cluster right here that you've started on this corner. So this is going to be your first set. Now we're going to create a corner on this area. So remember, our corners are chain 2. So we chain 1 and chain 2, and that's our corner. Now we're going to do another cluster in this same open space. So yarn over and go into that same space and pull up a loop and do 3 double crochets just like that. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is going to be your first corner that you've made. See how it kind of forms a corner for us right here? That's your first corner on your second round of your square. And so we're going to keep going along the square. Now for the next corner, we're going to work into this next corner that's over here. You'll see right here, this is your second corner. For the next corner, sometimes if you watch multiple videos, you'll notice where they may chain one, because we're going to skip this entire cluster right here that you see from the first row. So some people will chain one to skip over that cluster. I do not chain at all. I just go directly into that next section on this way. So I'm going to just do a double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, go into this next corner space on the other side, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And so see how this space was created from where I skipped over this space of these squares from the first round. We're going to do the same thing. So we're going to do another double crochet in this space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and do one more double crochet in that space. Oops. Okay, so we've got our first cluster in that space right there, that next corner we're making. So we're going to make another corner. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and now we're going to do another cluster, 3 double crochets into the same space. So yarn over, go into there, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, one more double crochet, and then one more double crochet, and you're going to do that all the way around. So here's our next cluster. You'll notice from our first round, we're going to skip this cluster right here, and then we're going to go into this next space, which was our corner. So we're going to do a double crochet, yarn over, go into that next space and pull up a loop, your 3 loops on the hook, and create your double crochet. Pull through 2, pull through 2. And then you're going to do your cluster. So 2 more double crochets. We're going to chain 2 for our corner space, and we're going to do another cluster in that same space. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and skip this section, this set of square clusters from the last round, and we're going to go back into this next corner space over here with our double crochet. So 1 cluster of double crochets, 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 2 for our corner, and we're going to do 1 more cluster, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Now we've gotten to the point where we have met up with our, you'll see here where now we've met up with the chain 3 that we started from the very beginning. And so we're going to need to connect these two just like we did last time. So we're going to take our hook and we're going to put it into the top right here. Let me move that out of the way. You're going to go into the top of your chain 3 space from the very beginning, and you're going to put your hook into there, just into those 2 spaces. See how you'll notice you just went through those 2 top spaces there? And that's how you're going to connect it. And so you're going to pull, you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through that loop, and then you're going to pull through the one that was on your hook as well. So now what you've done is you've connected those 2 together to form the second, this is essentially the second row of your granny square. And we're going to keep going to the 3rd. Now, before we continue, this bothers me when I'm trying to work on it and get going. So I'm going to show you real quick how I weave in the middle of my granny squares. So you just take your tapestry needle and you insert the yarn into your tapestry needle just like you would to thread a needle, and then you're going to go through and kind of weave your ends into, I'll show you right here, weave it into these pieces up and down. Kind of just catch multiple strands as you're going along, so that you want to hide the end. Now remember, we did a chain 5 and made a loop in the beginning, so it's not going to come off, but you just want to kind of hide the end. So I'll just kind of keep going around and weaving my ends into each piece. And hide them in there. I think that's pretty good for now. And so I'll pull it out, lay it down, just kind of stretch it and make sure it's even, right? And now we can take our scissors and we're going to just snip off that piece, so that's gone. And now that piece is hidden in there, so we can keep working and we don't have to worry about that being in our way. So, move this out of our way too. Okay, so let's continue on with our third round. So here we go. So we're going to, for our third round, remember, we're going to turn our work, flip it over to the opposite side. We're going to chain 3 for our first double crochet, like we did in the other ones. And we're going to do a double crochet. We're going to do a cluster into this first space. This space on this second row is now in the middle. So you see how you have a space on the middle of each one as well as the edges? You're going to always work your clusters into these spaces around each of the edges. And so for our first cluster for this round, we're going to do a chain 3, and we're going to do our 2 more double crochets into that chain, into that same space, so we can form our cluster. So we yarn over and pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, and you do 1 more double crochet in there. And here's where we are going to skip over our next cluster, and we're going to go into our corner space. So we're going to do a cluster of double crochets in this space, 3 double crochets. Okay. You're going to chain 2 for your corner, and then you're going to do a cluster again of double crochets to form that next cluster. To form that corner for that space. So see how you formed your corner for your first corner for this round of your granny square, your legacy square. So we're going to keep going. So we're going to do a cluster into the next space of double crochets. And you're just going to keep going around doing this until you get to the very end, where we're going to connect at the beginning. So just keep another cluster in the corner. Chain 2. Okay, so I have gone ahead and gone around for the third round, and I am now at the last cluster that I need to complete in this corner right here. And so I'm going to go ahead and do my last cluster. So I'm going to do my last 3 double crochets in this space. Okay, and now I'm going to join this back into this first chain 3 space that we did, just like we did the last round that we did. So we're going to put our hook, the edge of our hook, into this top space of this chain 3 that we had, just like that. So you have this, you go into that chain, you pull your yarn through that chain, and then you pull it through that loop that was on your hook. And now you have formed your third round in your granny square. And so we're going to keep going just like we did this last round. We're going to do round 4 and round 5. So we're going to chain 3 to start off our first cluster. Remember, when you start each round, you're going to flip your square over, and we're going to be working this way. So we're going to start this first cluster. So we're going to do a double crochet into this space again, and then another double crochet. And then we're going to work our corner for this. Let me grab some more yarn out of here. We're going to work our corner space just like we've done in the past. So we'll do a cluster in the corner. And then we're going to chain 2 to make our corner of our square, and then we're going to do another cluster in that same space. 1, 2, 3. So now we finished our first square for our 4th round. So we're 1, 2, 3. This is our 4th round that we're working. And then we're going to work our clusters into each of these spaces. See, there's a space right here, and there's a space right here. And then here is your corner on your on this side. So you're going to do a cluster into your first space. Let me pull some yarn out of here. Okay, and now I've gotten to my corner, so I'm going to do my cluster. And I'm going to do my chain 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to do my cluster into that same space to join, to form my corner. See that? Now I've formed my corner on this side, right there with those clusters. And now I'm just going to continue on with this side the way I did that last one. We're going to do a cluster in each of these spaces. Let me just real quick get a ton of this yarn out of here. Okay. Here I'm back in my corner. So I'm going to do my cluster. And I'm going to do my chain 2 for my corner. And then I'm going to do my next second cluster in this space. So remember, each of your corners are going to essentially end up with a cluster, a chain 2, and then a cluster. And that's going to form your corner on each of your rounds. So we're doing a cluster in this space, and we're going to do a cluster in this space, and then we're back over here to our corner, so we're going to do a cluster and a chain 2, and then another cluster to form our corner. Here's our chain 2 and our last cluster. Okay, and here we are in our last space on this round, and so we're going to put a cluster into this last space. And then we are going to take our hook and we are going to put it into the top of this chain space from the very beginning, the chain 3 space we did. And we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull our yarn through that and then through the loop that was on our hook so that we can slip stitch. That's called a slip stitch. So you've slip stitched this together so everything is joined now. And if you look at your square, you'll notice that you have 4 rounds. You have 1 here. You have 1 here, and then you have this is your 3rd round, and you've just completed your 4th round. And so now we're going to do 2 more rounds, just like we've done these, so that we can get 6 rounds in 1 square. And so we're going to just keep going. So remember, when you start a new row, you flip your square, and you chain 3, and you move with your clusters. Your first cluster, remember, you're going to do a chain 3, and you're going to do 2 double crochets, and so that's going to essentially end up being your cluster of 3 for that first space. And then you're going to do a cluster in each of the spaces, you're going to do in each corner, you're going to do a cluster, you're going to do a chain 2, and then you're going to do a cluster to form your corner. I'm just moving right along here with these so that we can get to the end and I can show you how to finish up your square real quick. So I'm going to work the rest of my square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my 5th round and then my 6th round, and I'll come back towards the end of my 6th round so I can show you how to finish off your square. Okay, so we are back and I have finished up my square. I've gotten to the end of round 6. And so I'm going to show you once again how we are going to close up our square. So I am going to finish my last cluster in this last space. I'm doing 1, 2, 3 double crochets for my last cluster. And then I'm going to go into the top of this space just like we've done on the other rounds, and I'm going to pull my yarn through that space and through the loop that was on my hook to close up that last space. So we've closed our granny square. And then in order to finish off your square, what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over your hook and you're going to pull it through, and you're going to pull through so that you have a long piece left over. And you're going to cut this piece. You want it to be long enough so that you can weave in your ends. So I always suggest leaving about 6 to 8 inches maybe of yarn so that you can weave in your ends. And you're going to just cut that off. You're going to pull out the yarn that was from your roll of yarn that you had, and you're going to, this is what you're left with. And so you're just going to kind of tug on this a little bit and make it tight, and you'll notice that it tightens into a knot. So now I'm going to show you how we're going to weave in the end of our, this piece that we have left over, our ends from our granny square. So we're going to put our yarn into our tapestry needle, and we're going to weave this in. So the best way to do this, and what I like to do, is I just kind of, like we did the middle of it, kind of moving up and down the stitches, just go through and catch a few of the stitches. So you're just going to move your needle through these stitches anywhere that you see, and you'll notice that some of the yarn will start to split, and I just like to push it through there so that I know that it catches and it's not going to just be through one place. And then I'll go through a few more stitches to place it here so that I know it's catching down in this way, and run it through here. And once I've gone down, you'll notice that I've gone down 2 rows or 2 sections into my granny or the legacy square. I like to go back up so that it's not just pulling one way. So if you go multiple ways, it doesn't have a tendency to come out. So we'll go back up this square, this row that we've done, into that second row, just weaving in your needle like this. And then maybe you turn it and go the opposite way. Go in here. You can kind of just play with it and just go through, just to make sure. You don't want it to, when you go to tug it, these are going to be given to kids, and so you don't want to them to tug it and then the end of the yarn to come out of the square. So you're just going to go back through, run your needle back through your square or through your strands like this. And then we should be good to go. So we've run it up and down, and then we've run it a little bit side to side. So we should be good at weaving that in now. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to take your scissors and you're going to cut this as close as you can to that edge and snip that piece off. And there you go. Now you have completed your first legacy square, or your first granny square. There you go. If you have any questions, you can absolutely leave comments in the bottom in the comment section, and I can help you answer any questions as well. But don't forget, once you watch this video, take some time, watch it, fast forward, rewind, look up other videos as well to see what other techniques other people are using. And then we will be back next time in the next video, and I'm going to show you how to join squares so that you can begin joining squares to make a legacy blanket. So we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.